do we release a record in 2020?
How long have we been working together now?
Since what, 2008?
It was like 8, 9, yeah.
Yeah. Bellevilla days.
Yeah, right. So that was the edits that you did, which I helped you with part of. We'd had a bit of a recognition with the first EP, and then we'd got that commission to do the remix for the Pet Shop Boys before the record even dropped, if you remember. And it was like, where did this come from? I got an email like 2-3 weeks before the record was out from the management in New York, I think. And it was like, do you want to? And then we had that session already planned, like really luckily a few weeks later in Edinburgh. And we basically dedicated the whole week to those remixes, which then, of course, they promoted, but they never released. And
never released.
And so we live 400 miles apart, and
sessions are not easy to come by. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing to say about EP2 is that it basically it sowed the seeds for EP3.
You know, that EP was effectively ready by 2015. We just didn't realize it until early 2017, I guess, was when we actually put it out. You know, like you promote a record and you get good feedback, and then it's out, and then 6 months later, everyone's talking about, you know, they've forgotten about it. Whereas the thing with Rags of Time is it just seemed to keep on going. It was the goose that laid the golden egg that kept on giving, and all the rest of it. And I mean, that sort of had a long tail on it, didn't it? Because we had the first pressing that sold out before the record was even finished because of the promo that was ongoing through the summer. I guess that's what you call a viral, isn't it? And you know, big up Sharon Andrews.
Big
for helping us with the PR on that one, and it was like, oh, time to do a repress already. So that was like, you know, obviously a completely new experience for both of us. But I guess people were talking about it being a summer anthem at that point, and it was getting like written about in print and online in that way. And some quite influential DJs were saying that. And then obviously, you know, fast forward to the end of the year or January 2018, and I remember you calling me up, and I was actually working in the studio that day with a friend, and it was like, I've just got to take this call to Leo. I can only imagine there's only one thing this can be about, because it was that was the point where Bill was doing his podcast and roundup of the year, and it was like, we did it. We're number one, and I literally could not believe the phone call.
Yeah. Well, even before then, though, you might remember when when it dropped at Juno, it hit number one on the Balearic chart within a couple of hours. It was like it went from like number 3 to number 1. It's just like, you know, new entry at number 3, and then 2 hours later it's number 1. And okay, fair enough, it didn't stay there for more than a couple of days, but that's still, you know, really nice. It's always nice to be number 1, you know. Even if it is for a couple of days.
It's always nice to be number 1. Yeah, remember that feeling, Leo.
Get
it might never happen again.
Exactly. Milk it for all it's worth. But then, so, yes, and end of the year, that in some ways, that's even more, that's a bigger deal than making it to number 1 in the sales on Juno or whatever. It's much more like,
that was like a peer review, wasn't it? Basically,
yeah, man. It's like all the people that we love and respect voted it at number 1, and most of them, you know, maybe not most of them, but well, I'd say most of them certainly don't know us personally. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, oh, you know, I've partied with those cats and they're really cool or whatever. It was just like, wow, this tune is really good, and every time I play it, it drops. This is my favorite tune of the year. Bang.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's always amazing and very encouraging to get the support of your peers and of people that you respect as well. So thank you, Bill Brewster. You know,
well, yeah, that was a big moment for us, wasn't it? Really, following it up was going to take a little bit of time. Yeah.
So, you know, so we were like, you know, we need more. It'd be nice to go a little bit into that Balearic vibe.
Yeah, that was, I guess, the kind of the trigger point for kind of phoning Riyadh and saying, this is Riyadh Abji, who's actually my brother-in-law, but also is a very talented musician and plays cello, plays guitar, plays bass.
Who was this signed to? I mean, he's got a Discogs page, and he's got.
Oh yeah, he was signed to Ninja in the 90s. I mean, he's had records out with various people, but he was part of an act called Woob, WOOB, that had a kind of a bit of a cult following on the kind of chill out scene, I guess, back in the day. And he'd already sent me these other tracks. He'd been like, here's some other stuff I've done, and there was this one track that really stood out for me with this, I think it was a live recording with him playing cello and using the tempura, which is like a drone instrument. It just kind of hit all the buttons for us. And I remember thinking, this will sound amazing, you know, with some other production on it and some other stuff going on and some good beats. This is going to really fly in the right environment. You know, it's like a kind of ethereal sort of spooky tune, basically. And so that was the kind of jump off point. And Into It isn't a million miles away from the Shot at Dawn, the like house mix that we did, really, because we were using some of the same drum machines.
Yeah, I think a lot of our traditional, I think the people who've liked that old stuff will like that one. I think Aranath might be a little bit more of an acquired taste, just because, you know, who puts a cello on a house track, you know?
Well, Phase Action 20 years ago did that, you know? I got the impression that a lot of DJs were picking up on Into It when we first sent it, and then like digesting and getting into Aranath and Aranatha, the ambient mix, like fully, like after that. And then some of the, should we say more Balearic or out there kind of ambient, whatever, like freestyle DJs, were kind of going straight for like Aranatha, the ambient mix, and or Aranath, the kind of long, it's like 9 minutes, isn't it? The original mix. Yeah. Which is kind of like a kind of weird sort of deep house, I don't know, deep techno workout.
I think there is an appetite from people for this kind of music. You know, I think, you know, ambient music has been really coming up over the last probably 4 or 5 years, you know.
Well, yeah, if you look at the success of labels like Music from Memory, and actually when Jamie Thompson played it on Radio Magnetic a few months ago, someone actually commented that the ambient mix reminded him of something, Aranatha, from Music from Memory, which I think it was a really big compliment, obviously, for that track. And a lot of respect for that label and the guys behind it. So, if you know, my objectives running the label, I've always kind of sought to try and release music that's somehow going to stand the test of time. And then obviously the secondary for me objective, I guess, has always been like to try and put out records that work as well off the dance floor in your headphones or on your hi-fi as they do on the dance floor. And I think that's something that we share.
On the move. Yeah, we do.
That's an aesthetic, isn't it, that we've always gone for. So, but certainly the promo so far has been really encouraging to that end for this release. And we do have a lot, you know, there's a lot going on there because we've also got the ambient mix of Web of Intrigue, which is otherwise not been put out yet. So
the long haul mix.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bonus for the people that kind of dug that. And obviously it's a really bad time for anyone doing anything creative, like in the last 6 months. Yeah, obviously I think both of us have been through a certain amount of hell in the last 6 months of a personal nature. So it's like, that kind of keeps you, that ability to focus on something like out with your day-to-day life, I feel it's kept us both sane, like having like mixes or artwork to kind of focus on. And we kind of came to the end of that process in kind of May maybe, and it was like, what are we going to do with this now? How are you going to release the record now? You know, this is the worst time in the world to try and put it, because I just obviously put out a record in March. Ironically, the Friday the 13th of March was when it dropped, the last release on the label. And
we went into lockdown, what, a week later?
Literally a week later, we went into lockdown. So it was like great timing. And honestly, I think that record would have sunk without a trace if Bandcamp hadn't picked it up and put it on their electronic releases of March thing at the end of the month. And then suddenly it got
thank you, Bandcamp.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We love you, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp and Joe Muggs, who wrote the review, you know, lovely review as well. That's the Fun EP by Jacksonville, if anyone's interested in checking it out. But basically, without that, it would have died and gone to, you know, vinyl heaven, basically. So, and equally, a lot of love and sweat and tears went into that record, the sleeve and the music. I can say that, you know, without thinking.
Definitely. Always a lot of love. Yeah.
Why did we call it Aranath? Do we want to talk about that?
Sure, man.
Because obviously there's an Eastern vibe. That's Riyadh's vibe, up to a point, working with the tempura, obviously, as well as the kind of classical thing. It's like a fusion, isn't it? Again, of Eastern meets Western, classical. I mean, he's a jazz musician, really, I guess. But
the name, suffice it to say that the name came from a yoga monk that I met. He taught me how to meditate. Well, he taught me one method of meditation.
It seems appropriate for a track that's kind of meditative, basically. Yeah,
put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, the guy Aranath, he's one of the gurus pictured in the sleeve art, which you can see behind me on the frame.
Yes,
and on the
you
t-shirt.
can also.
We just got these few samples made up with the merch, but it became a bit of a monster, didn't it? Because it's like, hang on a minute, with Kickstarter, you can offer lots of people, you can offer all these different things. You don't just have to do a record. You can do a poster, so you can do a T-shirt, you can do all kinds of merch. So,
but it actually allows you to sort of also sell WAVs, beforehand. This is what we're doing with the postcard. So you get a postcard.
Right, yeah, you get a postcard and you get the download, basically. The cheapest way to get the release, exactly.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you're going to get it before everyone else as well, before it goes on to...
it's not going to go up anywhere until we've completed this process, that's for sure. Yeah.
Right. So, and then one of the other things we're doing is the entire back catalogue for, was it 22 quid? Plus all the WAVs?
It's 23 for all of the last 3 EPs and the new record and all the downloads for £23, which is not a bad deal. It's like discounted back cat plus the new record all in, plus shipping, obviously.
There's a
lot of choice, basically. And everything comes with a free download, whether you want a T-shirt, a poster, a postcard, or a tote bag. And T-shirts, 35 different colours of tees, which you get to choose.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You get to choose the... I've got the tote bag in a natural colour. Leo's got a grey one somewhere. Is it there? But the tote bags come in 5 different colours and the T-shirts come in 35 different colours. Obviously, we've not made any of them yet, apart from the samples.
So we've got a Kickstarter, and, basically, if we hit our target, all these funky designed things, T-shirts,
all this can be yours.
Exactly.
All this and more, or less, depending on what you want.
And the hopefully the time and effort and love that we've put into this project won't go to waste. But hey, if it does, it does.